All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the PK Pod, where we all have platforms, but they may not be the pulpit. I'm super excited to share with y'all this amazing guest today. Joining us on the pod is the incomparable, the beautiful, the intellectual, Miss Alise Moore. And listen, we are about to get into some tea. Welcome to the show, Alise.
Thank you. I love big intros. That always, I feel like it's all the things.
It fits.
I love it. Hi, Jasmine. It is so good.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am great. I am excited. I am excited for everyone listening to be able to tap in because we are about to talk about some things that are very important. Here with the PK Pod, we like to dive into the topics that we don't necessarily talk about. We like to debunk theories like PKs are the worst ones. No, we're not. We're actually very aware. We're actually very educated. We'll call you out on your stuff. That's why they don't like us. But we are changing the narrative with this podcast to educate listeners that we are incredible human beings. I like to highlight incredible human beings like yourself. And I like to highlight people from different backgrounds and industries so that people can understand that we literally are not our parents. We use that as fuel. We appreciate their calling, our calling, but we know how to go after purpose for ourselves. And so we're going to talk to you. We're going to get into it. So we're just going to start from the beginning, because in the beginning, there were PKs. So tell us your PK journey. Like, were you born into this? Like the Kojic say, you can't just join in, you got to be born in. Were you born into this, or did the call come later and you were like living your best life and was told, this is what we're doing?
No, Jasmine, I was born into it, so much so that both of my grandfathers were bishops. My maternal grandfather was a presiding bishop. My great grandfathers were bishops. So I was born into it. I mean, indoctrinated. There was nothing else that I knew but being a PK.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we can relate to that. Yay. Love that for you. So born into it. Did you understand though? Like, cause I feel like for me, I didn't understand what all it meant to be a PK until I got to like that teenage era and people start acting crazy. And then sister so-and-so and brother so-and-so start like, the kids start not being my friend anymore. And I'm like, what's going on, guys? So did you fully understand like what came along with the weight and the title of it?
Okay, so I don't think that anyone, even no matter how much preparation you get, I don't think anyone will ever be fully prepared for what comes with being a PK, right? Now, the blessed or the fortunate part of my story was that both of my parents were PKs. So they were able to give me a little game. You get what I'm saying? When I was younger, to understand, okay, people are fickle. There are going to be people who only talk to you because of who you are connected to. There are going to be people who don't talk to you and don't like you because of who you're connected to. And then there was a whole other list of expectations and standards and rules. And because you are in this position, you are expected to do that. So, like I say, I was very fortunate to have parents who were able to give me perspectives of a preview. However, the generation that they came from, they still believed the indoctrination that they received of, if you are going to be in ministry, this is how you need to look, act, talk, sit, stand, sing, move, all of the things. And so I learned a lot of things from them. Got a lot of knowledge from them that was helpful, but also harmful. Right? And not intentionally harmful, but it was protective for them and the generation that they lived in. But it was harmful to the authentic and the honest generation that I was born into. And so there was a there was a contradiction with some of the things that I was educated and informed of, at a young age to prepare myself for what it means to be a PK. I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's a blessing to have parents who are or were, right, PKs, to be able to kind of prepare you as much as they can, to give you some type of insight to say, hey, listen, you may encounter this. You may, that's a blessing. Because let me tell you, my father was a PK and he didn't tell me nothing, okay? He said, this is the call on my life. We're doing ministry. The end.
It's the call on my life. It's the call on your life too, huh?
By calling means you're being voluntold to be over the youth. You will be on the praise team, huh? You don't have a choice.
Every department in the church. I have run every department, okay?
Like, it's a thing. Like, you don't get a choice. No. There's no family meeting that says, do you want to do this? It's like, no.
If you're interested in, no. It is, you gonna sing, you gonna be an usher, you gonna work finance, and you gonna be a deacon. That's
which is, it's crazy. But don't you think though, like, even though we were voluntold, don't you think that it's a blessing to have been able to have the exposure to do those things, because how it plays a role into our purpose now, into us deciding more quickly what we want to do in life, what we don't want to do in life. But it's like knowing those things and those skill sets, you're able to get to the result quicker, right?
Okay, I love that you went there, because that is a conversation I like to have. While we have a lot of us, we have a lot of trauma in our upbringing, childhood, all that stuff. So I don't ever want to negate that, right?
Yeah.
But skills that we learned as a result of being put in the fire, of being thrown kind of to the sharks, and learning how to be quick on your feet, learning how to manage adults when you're a child, learning how to be confident and work through whatever fear and insecurity you're experiencing internally. Why? Because of this responsibility that is on you to not let the system fail. It's not all healthy, but it does work in your favor. And so I love that you went there, because so many of the gifts that I'm able to operate in so fluently now is as a direct result of like I said, being thrown out into the fire at 7, 8, 9, 10.
Wow. It's like, while you were saying that, the scripture came to my mind, literally, all things work together for the good to those who are called and love. Like, I'm like, even when it didn't feel good, it worked for my good. We was in the fiery furnace. But literally.
And we felt the heat.
Literally. Because it's also this thing of, like you said, identifying the trauma of it, but then literally identifying the skill that you got of it, right? Because you have this burden of not wanting to let your parents down. So I got to do my best, or at least got to try, because I don't want to be in trouble. Or I want to go to the movies tonight, and I can't go to the movies with my friend unless I go in here and lead this worship song or teach this praise dance. So let me just conjure up the emotion to do that so that I can have a life, right? But not realizing by you doing that, you're literally exercising skills and muscles that you will later use in life to be able to manage people, rooms, well, no matter the room, corporate America, nonprofit space, education.
It teaches you resilience, because you cannot afford to quit when you're raised in a ministry family.
Yeah.
Our sacrifice, our success, whatever that means or looks like, is dependent on our sacrifice. And I cannot get weary in this sacrifice. And so, like we say, let's always be mindful that there's a lot of trauma attached to it and there's a lot of dysfunction to it. But when we think about perspective and how do we reshape our narrative, right? There's so much beauty that comes out of it. There's so much diligence and resilience and discipline that I developed having to push through and do things that I didn't always want to do, but it benefited me in the long run.
Yeah.
That is good. I love
I
that.
love that. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about the trauma. So
Mm-hmm.
you are literally a therapist. Hello. And I need to figure out, how do we get to, all right, you know what? I need to help people because I am seeing a lot of dysfunction in church world, in the real world, in all of the worlds. And I have a heart or a passion to want to talk through this, and I want to help people, because ultimately that's what therapists do. They want to help people be their best self. They want to help people get into a healthy mental state. How did you get to, like, when did you know that's what you wanted to do? And how did the church influence that?
That is a great question. I remember when I was in high school, I remember the thought came to me, like, you should go into mental health. But I didn't have a personal connection to it yet for it to stick. So I was just kind of like, okay, it wasn't something that I was like, oh, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. I wasn't driven in the direction yet. But I remember the first time that seed was planted, I was in high school. When I got to college, it's my college story for me is such a special one, because it's God's way of taking me through and showing me all the different sides of myself while allowing it to be disjointed and then bringing it all back together. So when I started college, I think a month into me being a freshman, I was signed to my first record deal. And I didn't know how to balance at the time. I didn't realize that I was what we call now a multi-hyphenate. I didn't know that how to balance this artistic, creative side of myself while also nurturing and balancing this other, what now I know, clinical therapist, all of those, the more grounded version of myself. And so I really struggled understanding how to find myself, really allowing myself to find myself in that season, because I felt so disjointed. My classes, I started falling behind in school. I was a great student. I was falling behind in school. I was trying to figure out, how do I maintain, because all I knew up to that point was church or school and choir rehearsal, school and church. I didn't know how to do school, church, and label meetings or branding sessions and then writing camps and sessions. I didn't know how to balance all of that. And they were all, in my mind, three different people, right? You got the church girl, and then you have the student, and then you have the artist. And all of me was just broken up. Well, going through school, my grandparents on my mom's side, they started declining in health. They lived in Detroit, Michigan. My grandmother passed away, and my grandfather took a very fast downfall health-wise. I took a break from school, moved to Detroit with my mother, and brother, and became my grandfather's caregiver. In that time, so now I put music on hold, I put school on hold, but I'm the youth president at my father's church. Wow. So I'm flying back and forth from Detroit to Atlanta every month to hold and host these youth services and youth events, and then going back to Detroit and becoming a caregiver again. I spent my 21st birthday in the hospital with my grandfather because it was my day, it was my shift to do hospital duty. Wow. In that time, my grandfather, giving you context, my grandfather, like I said, he was a presiding bishop. He had, all these churches under him, yada, 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 yada. And he had all of this success. He was a very loved man, a family man. But when he started declining, I started seeing all of the dysfunction that was quiet and silent within the family all come right to the top.
Wow.
And the beautiful part, didn't realize it was a beautiful part at that time. The beautiful part of that season was that God allowed, before I got to Detroit and started seeing and recognizing what was going on around me, he allowed me to be so disjointed and separated that when I got into that environment, it made me got quiet to me. He allowed that season to be, it was so traumatizing. It was so difficult. It was so hard. He shut everything down and just allowed me to hear. Finally, my grandfather, we cared for him for a while. He passes away. And I immediately go back to school. I realized in that time, God allowed all of that chaos to occur to show me it wasn't just a dysfunction in my extended family. How much of this stuff has trickled generationally into my immediate family? Oh my God, there's bitterness and resentment because you blame him for what? Oh my God, I feel the same thing. And realizing the role that trauma, generational trauma has played in the family and in the church. And it was like an awakening that I came into of one, I started remembering my own pain. And seeing how similar it was to these stories and things that I heard and I was experiencing in real time. And long story short, God allowed my focus to recenter in a way to show me that I was anointed. My voice was anointed to speak into that. Now, I didn't fully know what my voice meant. I didn't know, okay, God, is this, I'm supposed to make music and speak into it? What is it? And then over time, he just started revealing, no, you need to go back to school for this. You need to go back to school for this. And all the pieces came together where I was like, oh, you want me to speak to this from a clinical, psychological place and bring together the spiritual implications as well. So my childhood, growing up in the church, I saw so much that I thought was normal. I was exposed to so much that I thought was normal. And God allowed me to see, no, you were never supposed to see that. You were never supposed to hear that. You were never supposed to experience that. You were never supposed to be in this room when that happened. This was all dysfunction, and it has broken you in all of these little pieces. And you have a hard time bringing all of your callings together because you're fragmented. And so God just slowly began to show me how much stuff that was normalized, that was dysfunctional and broken. And if I did not change my perspective, how I would continue to perpetuate and spew out this dysfunction. And it's a ministerial cycle.
Ooh, oh my Lady Gaga. That is, oh my God, that's so needed. But you know what I took from you sharing that story was, it wasn't until you got still. We overlook the power of stillness. Oh my God, we overlook it so much because we feel like life's not promised. I got to go, I got to be. And it's like, stillness is a non-negotiable for anyone to be able to function, to replenish, to hear, to feel. Like, you have to get still.
Yes. And God has to make the season still.
Yes.
All of my distractions. And the truth is, Jasmine, I didn't think they were distractions. How could school be a distraction? How could artistry be a distraction? This is who I am. How could the ministry in some ways be a distraction? But God was like, okay, I got to decide. I'm going to pull you away from everything. The only thing I'm going to let you continue to do is you're going to still pour into some of these young people, but you are a caregiver right now. And I just want you to watch.
So, as you know, right, a lot of faith-based leaders, families, we don't prioritize our mental health at all. Like, we struggle in that area, and we shouldn't, right? Why do you feel that a lot of us struggle with getting help and support when it comes to our mental health? Like, we'll do it in all the other areas. Sometimes fitness. We struggle with fitness and mental health. Those are the areas that we do not want to be disciplined or accountable. We want to eat whatever we want to eat, and we don't want to make sure that we are mentally sound. Why? Why do we do that? Why do we put it on? Why is it not a priority, do you think, in your opinion?
Well, we have to always go back to the stigma that's been attached to mental health, right? Not just from the mainstream perspective, but from the spiritual perspective, and feeling that if we put too much emphasis on going to providers for our mental health, then we are taking away the power from God, and that our faith is not strong enough, or that our, hope and trust in him is not where it should be. So there is naturally the stigma that comes with it, especially as for Black charismatic people. But then also when we go to therapy and we start working through the stigma and then working through whatever it is that we learn of ourselves, a lot of times it also reignites the natural shame cycle that a lot of people in church also deal with, right?
Yeah.
We live in, this is the culture in general, but especially church people, we live and operate in binaries. It is either good or bad. It is either holy or it is evil or wicked. It is either heaven or hell, right? We are trained, we are socialized to think in binaries. We are not trained or raised or taught how to allow our experiences to just be, and wherever they fall on the spectrum, they fall on the spectrum. Maybe it's not good, maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's not holy, maybe it's not evil. Maybe it's just in between. And so when we going through this process, it confronts our binaries that we think in, but it also confronts the duality that humans also have to deal with. And for a lot of us, we struggle with that because of how we think in binaries. So how do I hold the balance or the space for sex and sacredness? How do I hold space for faith and frustration? How do I hold space for influence or a pastoral assignment or whatever, and exhaustion? And because we force ourselves to live in these binaries, and if I allow space for anything in between, I am not aligned with the will of God. And so we're extremists in our thinking, and that keeps us, one, closed-minded. It also keeps us in our cycles of shame. And so we stay silent.
Yeah.
We stay silent and we get up over the pulpit. Some of us, we get over the pulpit and we go hard against these two extremes. We go hard against the duality of our human nature.
Yeah.
But we forget that that's actually what grace is for anyways, right? It's for that in between.
Hello.
So those things, when we decide to go into to do therapy, you're confronted with that. And I think a lot of us have just not gotten to a space of acceptance yet of saying, actually, I am not only holy, I am also broken.
Yes. And that's really what it comes down to, right? I think a lot of our pastors, bishops, apostles, all of them, right? They feel because of the mantle that they can't be human. And it's like, no, you're a human being first. Like, you deserve to have a pastor. You should have one, and you should have a therapist. You need to be talking to somebody. But I think a lot of times, because of their role and position, like you said, it's like, oh no, like, I don't need to talk to nobody. Like, I know psychology. I studied this, and, I know enough about it to where they don't feel that they need to literally get help in the broken areas, in the areas in which they're not thinking about, like, what's your home life like? How are you maintaining your body? Like, when's the last time you've been to the doctor? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Down. I mean, thank you, Jesus. Your faith is strong, all of that, but you could be really poor at doing relationships. You got all these broken men and women out here who hate God because of their experience with you. You get what I'm saying? And so when do we allow our arrogance some ways and our shame to level out just enough to say, I need a little help. I need some assistance.
Yes. Yeah. And then how do you, because a lot of times they're not going to be willing to go. I know in this is my personal testimony, first given out of the guy who's the head of my life. I had got to a point of, my family don't feel like family, if I'm honest. It feels transactional, and not just like from a, hey, I need something, what you got, but just like I feel like we're not how a family's supposed to feel. I feel like we come together around the holidays and we're supposed to be sunshine and rainbows, but I really don't know how you're doing for real. Like, because I really haven't really checked in on you. I know you preaching every Sunday. I know you on the tour, and I know you at work. That's what I know. But I don't know how you're really doing, and y'all for sure don't know how I'm really doing. Because if you knew how I was really doing, you would know that I'm literally depressed chronically and suicidal. And I'm like, why am I here? But you don't know that. You're just like, oh, I'm so proud of you. You out there doing it, you know? And so while talking through friends, which is why community is important, they were like, you should go talk to a therapist. Because we're your friends, but we are not your therapist. And we have enough wisdom to know that you need some help. You need to go talk to somebody professionally. And through that journey, I was talking to a therapist at the time, and I said, I really feel like my family's never done therapy. Like, is that a thing? And he was like, it's a thing. You should literally have them come in. And I paid for family therapy sessions. And I feel like it was one of the best decisions I made because it allowed for everybody to realize we ain't got our stuff together. We ain't, like we are all imperfect people. Like we are not aware of what's going on in our immediate family. And that's a problem. And so talking to somebody who is not in this family unit can help us better get on the same page as to how we can be better family members to one another. But what are some ways in which you think maybe just having a conversation about it to even get people open, but what are some ways to approaching the topic of therapy in busy church family lives?
Yeah.
Would you say?
I think the biggest thing is you have to be the example by living the evidence and the fruit of what therapy is actually doing for you, right? Like you have to show them let me show you over time how I change and how I transform, and let that be a testament of the work I put in. Because for a lot of us, a lot of families, it's not as easy to say, you get in the car with me, we going to therapy. Like that's, even though it was a lot of work, that's a blessing that people were still willing to do it. Right. A lot of people's families are like, absolutely not. You trying to say something's wrong with us? You trying to say something's wrong with me? What are you blaming me for? There's a defensiveness that comes. And so we also have to understand that too, when we plant the seed or the idea of, hey, y'all, I think we should go to therapy, or I think it would be really, maybe not the whole family yet. Maybe we're not there yet. Maybe it's just that one person you feel like you can pull in. Hey, I think we should do therapy together. Maybe we can tag in some of the other family members. It might go somewhere. It might not. You planted the seed. The next thing is embody the skills and the values that you were learning in therapy and let that be your witness. The third thing is be patient with the process. Be patient. The seed was planted. It's not your job to worry about when the harvest will come.
That's good.
Keep living it. Sometimes we get a little impatient with our families in the process because we see how much is changing and transforming us. And we're just like, oh my God, we could be so much better if you just came along, if you just did this, if you just heard the same thing I heard. If God is going to allow it, he's going to do it when they're ready for it. And sometimes we have to be patient with God's process and getting them the deliverance that they need. And that's the hard part. That's the hard part.
Super hard. That's so good. That's so good and so practical. Thank you for sharing that. I am literally advocating for everyone listening to, if you thought about it, if you didn't think about it, if you are just now considering it, to at least apply those tools, those steps of having a conversation, at least with one person that you know that will hear you out. And listen, I know that it's going to help to heal families, to a lot of people to just take a deep breath, because a lot of people are just so tense and stressed. And sometimes you just need somebody to tell you, breathe in and breathe out. Do you feel better? Like sometimes it can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be literally the biggest family secret scandal that you're trying to work through. It can literally just be, I am not balancing my time properly and I want to be more efficient,
I want to add something to that as well, though. There's a scripture that says, and I'm not going to say it exactly how it's written, but those who win souls are wise, right? If we think about part of winning souls, soul work is helping people to see themselves, to see themselves, accept themselves, embrace themselves, and learn how to improve and really align themselves with God's plan for them. And for a lot of people, that is going a step towards therapy. Ask the Lord to give you the wisdom on how to win your family members over into this enlightenment and awareness, right? Sometimes it takes patience. If we think about when we're trying to win our friends over to Christ, whatever that looks like for you, it's you got to be strategic. You got to be careful. You can't just be like, girl, you need to get saved. You can't,
right.
You need to give your life to the Lord. You need to go to church. You can't do that. And a lot of times with our family members, when we get frustrated with them, we will throw in their face, that's why you need to do therapy. That's not going to get them there sooner. You're not using wisdom. You got to lead with love and wisdom and grace and compassion. Everybody's not where you are in your journey. So be slow, be kind, be slow to speak, be slow to anger. When your family members are pushing you towards that limit. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not saying take abuse. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't enforce boundaries. No. But when we're talking about winning people over, winning souls in a way, go along with the scripture, use wisdom and ask God for wisdom. Yeah.
Okay. So we could do this all day. And you are multi-hyphenate. So I'd be remiss not to talk about the angelic voice. Literally, you have been touring the country with, you name it, okay? On tour, recording BGVs, leading worship, going viral. I mean, kicking it with Kurt. I mean, it's all of the things. You living life. We love to see it, honey. We love it so much. Okay, we know you were singing in church. But did you know you was going to be singing on these stages? Like, how has life been? Like, how has the thought process been of like, oh my Lady Gaga, like, Jesus, the gift.
Oh my God. It is so crazy, Jasmine. So I've been singing. I hate when people ask me, how long have you been singing? Because I don't know. I've been singing for like as long as I can remember, literally. Like, I think the first time I was on a stage was at like 5 years old, So I've been doing music for so long. I always knew that it was something I was passionate about and that I was called to, but I had no clue what that looked like, right? And I think sometimes in church, sometimes our perspective can be limiting, right? Sometimes we think, oh, okay, I'm going to go from church to church.
Yeah.
when you're a child, church to church, in the jurisdiction and all.
Yep.
We think in those terms. So I knew something was going to come of my gift. And then as I started getting older, when I was in high school and I started noticing different, execs are now wanting to reach out and all of these, it was a lot happening and it was weird. So I knew that there was something that was going to come with it. When going back to the story earlier, when I was signed, right in college, now my eyes and my perspective is opened up a little bit. Like, okay, well, maybe this will be on a big stage or a larger platform. Maybe this will take me somewhere. But then when it didn't work, I was like, okay. Because I thought in my mind that was my path, or that was my claim to fame, or that was going to be my ticket to arriving, wherever arriving was, because God knows if I even knew. So the funny thing, this is how crazy God works, is that when I got back in school and I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to finish this is undergrad, I'm going to finish my degree. I put out music. I, did a few little things, and it was kind of just like passion projects just to kind of get it out of my system. But I remember the Lord told me when I moved and started grad school, he said, you're going to have to really decide your priorities in this season. He said, if you give me your music for a season, I will give it back to you. He said, I'll give it back to you. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. But okay, cool. It is what it is. And at that point, I had already worked through the disappointment of the deal, not working through all of the other little things that I did that were supposed to get me somewhere that didn't happen. I had to grieve all of it. So at this point, it's like, what else do I have to lose? I've lost everything in that regard. There's nothing left. So it's yours. Cool. I started grad school. I remember Wow. Thank you, Jesus. That's crazy how God brings things back to your memory. I had an opportunity out in LA to do working with one of my favorite artists. And I took that and it was like, okay, God was like, okay, cool. It wasn't in conflict. I didn't have to miss anything important. It worked out. Later on in that first semester, I got a call to do some work with one of my favorite artists, like in the world. And it fell on one of my finals days. And I was like, Lord, what's up? What's up, Lord? Like, come on. And Lord was like, I told you, like, if you give it to me, just hold on. And I was so hurt. It was one of those things of like, let me just stop this and figure it out later type.
Yeah.
I reached out and I said, hey, I'm unable to do it. It's falling on my finals and I can't reschedule. I can't do nothing about it. And I remember the person was like, okay, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I can't do it. And then got through the semester. My second semester, so I'm ending my first year of grad school. I get a call from one of my favorite artists, PJ Morton. And he was like, hey, I know this is last minute, but I'm doing a tour this summer and I typically do 3 singers, but I want to do a third this year. Will you come? And I was just like, dang, I needed a summer job.
Wow.
But this was the crazy part. The tour was supposed to start, and I can't remember the exact date. It's supposed to start like in June. And then I think end in like November or October. And so I was like, okay, Lord, that's going to be during my semester. How am I going to get through this? And the Holy Ghost gave me clearance. He said, you got it. You can do it. And everything just aligned. Now, it was one of the hardest seasons of my life. That was being a full-time student, internship, clinicals, because I still have to maintain all of that if I'm trying to graduate on time. Wow. And I told the Lord that I would maintain. So I got to keep my promise. I cannot. This is not the time I can fall back. And so I gave my gift to him temporarily. Like, all right, you can hold this. And throughout my time in school, he just gave me tid by tid, opportunity by opportunity by opportunity, small things, very small things, and then bigger things. And then it all came together. And so then after graduating, to have been able, this was the crazy part. I remember my dean, one of my deans at the time, I called her and I was like, hey, I said, I need help. It was during the summer. I said, I am currently on tour and I'm not going to be done until X amount of this date. I need help finding an internship, clinicals, that's going to allow me to basically do time on my own time and figure it out. I don't mind seeing patients while I'm on the road, like virtually if I can. So she told me, she said, good luck with that. She said, you're going to have to choose. She said, it's going to be music or it's going to be school for you. I said, okay, I'm going to talk to you later. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Lord said, keep looking. He said, keep looking. And I connected with the organization that it was nothing but the grace of God. Connected with the organization. They have been wanting me to work with them for a while. And I told them, I said, look, this is my schedule. I will be 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I can come in these days. And I just gave them a schedule that I made up for like 3 months. I said, this is what I can do. Will you accept it? And they said, absolutely. And so it was God's way of saying, I'm going to bring it all back to you. You're going to be all these things, but you, one, have to be patient. You have to, two, diligent, and you have to be disciplined. You're going to have to be patient, diligent, and disciplined. And you're going to have to trust me at every point of this process. And so it was hard. It was, and it still is hard. Balancing it is hard, but God brings all things back around.
You just said the 3 things that this generation does not want to hear: patient, diligent, and discipline. This generation of instant gratification is crazy. Like, everybody wants it now, quick, wait, what's waiting? Patience.
What is wait?
I can make something shake.
Today.
But you making something shake versus God,
Jesus.
it being God ordained is
if I would have accepted that first big opportunity during the finals time, it would have been cool. It would have been amazing. It would have been a great experience, but it would have derailed my entire situation. And not to say that God can't get you back on track and all, of course he can. He does it all the time. But I would be in such a different place right now. And I don't know how much I would like it. And so
they have aligned, right? Like, yes, he could have, but would he have?
It would have
because he could have, doesn't mean he would have, because his ways are not our ways. And if he already set a way and a path before us, right?
And the beautiful thing about God, and this is the beautiful part of God, because he does in his plan also understand that there's so many alternative routes that we can decide and take. And he has a plan for all of them, right?
All of them.
It always gets back to his way and his plan. And so I want to say this to the people who did not obey God, that were not patient, that were not disciplined, and were not diligent. It's okay. It's going to be tough, baby. Because this is only a part of my testimony. There have been also things that I did fail the test in. And I did have to put the work in and have to really settle myself to realign myself with God and his plan for my life. It's difficult, but God will always still meet you there. So if you did get off track, don't think for a moment that you're too far gone and can't get back. Oh, yes, you can. Come on back.
Yeah. It's a detour. It's a detour. It's not a denial. Literally. You're literally detoured to get back to your destiny. That's literally all it is. Oh, I love this so much, Alise. Okay, so we're going to play a game, because I can talk to you all day, but we're going to play a game because literally I love playing games with my guests. Okay, so this game is this or that. Okay, so I'm going to list off some churchy things. Okay, and you tell me which of the churchy things is your thing. Yes, whatever comes to mind. Okay, and then I'll infuse it from things to people. Hallelujah night or Halloween party? Yes. Okay. Walk around for offering or pass the bucket?
Ooh, that triggered me. Walk around for offering, because I might have been sitting too long, depending on the church I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
You got to get the blood flowing. You got to get the
blood flowing.
And if you have on a cute outfit, everybody needs to see what I'm wearing.
Because I got dressed for church today. Okay.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. Sleep over at friend's house or church shut-in?
Oh. I'm going to have to say sleep over.
Okay. Church picnic or Memorial Day festivities?
Oh, that's a terrible one, Jasmine. I don't like it.
That was a hard one.
That was a hard one. Because some church picnics be lit.
They do.
And you gotta have the right people at the Memorial Day cookout. Dang.
Okay, we'll pass that one.
Yes.
This is a hard one too. Okay. Broadway plays or the church Christmas play?
Broadway. Give me Broadway.
Okay. First names or titles? Sister so-and-so.
First name. I can't do it. I can't.
Church pews or individual chairs?
Oh. Listen, churches that still got pews, they be churching, baby.
That's a fact.
They be going in, okay? But
they go up every Sunday.
I'm not comfortable in pews. I'm going to say church chairs.
Summer camp, like school summer camp or vacation Bible school?
Vacation Bible school.
Period. 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 I like it. Okay, let me throw you artists. Let me throw you a couple artists because
Okay.
that's good too. Okay. Since we talked about PJ, hey PJ or Chandler Moore?
Aw, they're both my friends. I grew up with Chandler. And, oh, you can't do me like that.
But based off of literally vocal ability only. Vocal ability. Like who you got in a battle.
Oh, God, that is insane.
Like a versus. Like
oh, Jesus, I'm so stressed out. Oh, my God. Oh, let me see. Chandler, probably.
Chandler. Okay. All right.
Y'all don't know. Chandler grew up church. Like he can do actually everything in church vocally. Y'all just hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's hard. But PJ, that's my guy. I don't know.
Listen, I stand with Peach. You stand with. That's fine. They both church boys. They both PKs. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so tell us what you got coming up because you are working and you're multi-hyphenated, and we here at the PK Pod we love to support all of our PKs. So how can we support? What we got coming up?
So I have a book that is about to come out. I am doing another cohort, which is called the Aligned Identity Cohort. And it's really intimate. It's women who are just kind of coming back to themselves. So maybe you are a mother, or maybe you are a business owner, or a wife, whatever you are, doesn't matter what role you are in. Sometimes we lose ourselves in the process of life. And so just kind of coming back to self. So it's for women like that. And music.
I'm so excited about all of these things. Music, book. Is this your first book?
It is my first book.
First freaking book. Oh my gosh. The cohorts. I mean, these are amazing opportunities. I feel like we should do some type of giveaway so that people can be subscribe and tune in like Absolutely. For the release dates of this. So make sure you guys are following Alise. Give them your socials because I think we should pick a winner, a lucky winner, a lucky follower. Post it in stories. Let us know. Tag us. Tag the PK Pod. Tag Alise and let them know. Listen, I am tuned in. I'm tapped in so that they can maybe get the early release to the cohort to sign up to be a part of all the things. So give us your socials.
Everywhere at Officially Alise, which is ALISE, Officially Alise.
Officially Alise. There it is. I love it. My final question to you is, what advice would you give a PK that's literally still growing up, still on their journey? We're all still on our journey, right? But they're navigating all of the giftings, trying to identify the multi-hyphenate, how to balance it all. Just what advice would you give them right now in their journey?
Yeah, I would say be patient with yourself and with God. His timing, I promise, is way better than yours. There's a lot of things that you can make sense in your mind because we think fast and sometimes it feels a little chaotic internally for us, but I promise you his plan and his path is so much better than what you can imagine. Be compassionate with yourself. You're not going to get it right every day. You're not going to live up to your own expectations every day, let alone anyone else's. Be very compassionate with yourself. Give yourself grace, give yourself love, and get back up on your feet and align yourself as much as possible with who you feel you're called to be. And if you have not already, I would highly suggest that you potentially talk to someone, even if you feel like that you're good and you have good relationships with your family or parents and the church, whatever. I always still suggest that we just sit down, even if it's for just a season, sit down with somebody that we can trust and that has been educated and is licensed in this work, just to help you flesh out, some of the things that you have maybe compartmentalized or that you have probably minimized in your life, and just, see what's in there. So that would be my advice to all of us out there.
We love it. Thank you so much, Alise, for sharing with us, for chatting with us. We are rooting for you in all the things, in all areas. We are praying that God will literally exceed your expectations in this next season. And we are excited to support you on your journey to literally taking over. Okay. Like, we love you. Y'all be sure to subscribe, follow us, and we'll see you next time.